Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. Today we begin 2 Samuel, and if you'll remember, 1st and 2nd Samuel were not originally two books. They were one book, just the book of Samuel. And so there's a continuation between the end of 1 Samuel and the beginning of 2 Samuel. And 2 Samuel begins with news arriving to David concerning what had happened with Israel and what had happened with Saul and his son Jonathan. And it's significant that this news came on the third day. In verse 2 it says, "On the third day, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes torn and dust on his head." And find out that this was an Amalekite, and he had come to give news that Saul was dead, and that he himself was the one who finished Saul off as after Saul had asked him to finish him off, which didn't sit well with David. David has this Amalekite killed. But the news comes on the third day. And it's interesting that the news of defeat, of the death of the king, came on the third day for this first king of Israel. But the last king of Israel, the eternal king of Israel, Jesus Christ, also had news pronounced about him on the third day. And the news connected to him was that of resurrection and victory and the accomplishment of God's goal for his people. Saul was a king according to the flesh. He was a king according to what the people wanted. He was a king that was not connected to God. It was not in line with the purposes of God. Yet Jesus Christ was the God-man. He was God himself. He was one who had came and represented God, manifested God, was in line with the will of God, and accomplished the purposes of God for the victory of God's people. And so you have this first king, according to the flesh, not being successful. This was a king that the people asked for, but they didn't get what they needed. Jesus Christ came as the one that God elected, and he was able to accomplish what the people needed. And this shows us that we need to be careful about who we select as our king. Who is it that we are going to serve? Who is it that we are going to, in a sense, anoint and follow all the days of our lives? Are we going to select just people according to the flesh? Are we going to put our trust in human ability and skill? Or will we put our confidence in the Lord, in Jesus Christ himself? And who will we give our allegiance to? Who will we be obedient to and submit to in our lives? There's a temptation sometimes because we see people, that we see them tangibly. We have relationships with people that we begin to follow after people, just regular people, according to the flesh. When all the while we need to be turning our hearts to Jesus Christ, submitting to him, loving him, being devoted to him, recognizing him as our King, as our Lord, and pouring ourselves out on him, and pouring our hearts out on him in love and devotion and commitment. And so today we can consider, who is it that we've been serving the most? Have we been serving other people? Have we been serving ourselves? Who have we made king? Who have we asked to be our king? It ought to be that this day and every day from this point onward, we put Jesus Christ back on the throne and recognize that he is the only king of victory. He's the only king who can accomplish what we truly need, and he's the one that is truly worthy to be followed. So let's think about that today as we do our reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.